Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome back to another Saturday Night Sci-Fi Shadow Chat. Tonight, as you can see from the title, we are going to continue last week's discussion with part two, that being the post-apocalyptic scenarios for your game worlds and settings. Hold on a second. The Mutt wants to join the conversation. What do you want? What do you want? Oh yeah, he just wants to be next to the alpha male of the house. He's a sweetheart. So we were just talking about winning more. God, I could say Sci-Fi Shadow Chat, but I can't say Mini War Mud. Go figure.
Mini War
Mud is having a painting challenge during the month of September. So go check out Weird World War II channel for more details. Oh my God, I'm going to have to kill my dog.
And he'll link you over to Mini War Mutt. I just subscribed to his channel. Looking forward to seeing more of his stuff. I paint every week. I can't remember the last time I finished anything, but I paint every week.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been able to put something up and go done. But you know, that's always actually been kind of our philosophy here. You know, we can always go back with something and finish it up. You know, when our skill level gets better, especially teaching the little guy who is quickly surpassing my skills. But we can always go back and finish something when we feel, you know what, I can do more edge highlighting, or I can do more shading. You know, that's why we absolutely never clear coat anything we do. Even though my friend James L. often tells me to, you know, clear coat through various steps of the way, but clear coat for me is just like, psh, it's done. I'm not adding anything else to it. Maybe I need to learn to clear coat a little thinner, maybe a little farther away. But yeah, I'm not a fan of it. Mostly, I think, because I've had so much experience trying to remove it from old school metal miniatures with my Sonic Cleaner and LA's Awesome. And it just, that makes the whole process take longer. Not quite as long as it takes to remove tester's paint, but that's a topic for another time.
The only clear coat I ever used, I used some Japanese clear coat, and I can't remember if it was the Mr. Paint or maybe one of the Tamiya. And I tried it, and I airbrushed it on, but it went on really cloudy.
Oh,
it was supposed to be a matte clear coat, but it went on cloudy, and it really pretty much ruined the paint job. I had to go back over it, and you know, I was at my favorite hobby shop, MRS Hobbies in Salt Lake City, and not affiliated, not sponsored. And I was in there, I was saying, I want to try some clear coat, and the guy says, "Here, try this." And you know, they do a lot of hobbying there and a lot of painting, but you know, I thinned it appropriately and I did it all, but it went on and it was literally cloudy. So yeah, no more clear coat for me. No more clear coat for me, at least not until I get better at it.
Because Hungar, I am the alpha male. Make no mistake, the little guy, no, not yet. It's going to be a couple more years before he's even close, and by then I'll be, you know,
because Shadow's a control freak.
Yeah, because I am a control freak. There you go. Welcome to the show, Raven. Hungar says hi, Bo, and Hungar says hi, Raven. So last week I asked everybody in the panel who have yet to show up, except for Bo, of course, if you're going to make a post-apocalyptic game scenario, what would be the apocalypse? What would be your cataclysm? What would be your destructor? What would lay waste to your world so that the players would then have to live in that post-apocalyptic situation? So what would be your destructor?
A runaway comet hurtling between the Earth and the Moon, unleashing cosmic destruction. His name is Thundar the Barbarian. I've looked at a lot of them. I really like the way RPG Pundit does it in his World of the Last Sun. It was just sort of a, imagine if you had a world in which, well, we're living in it right now, if the caretakers of our technology just stopped. I mean, how many people are there on this planet that could build a cell phone from start to finish. None. We've become so interdependent technologically. There are only like 5 factories in the world that make the glass for our cell phones at all. So imagine if 5 of those factories shut down. Well, things like that. Cars don't come from one factory. Cars come from 30 different factories. So anything that could cause a breakdown in supply chain on a more permanent basis would probably take us back to at least the Industrial Revolution. I don't think we'd fall all the way back to like the Stone Age, but I could see us falling back to a steam age really easily, and it wouldn't take much of anything. Solar flare, EMP, intentional EMP bomb in the upper atmosphere, a real pandemic, economic breakdown. Breakdown of what about a lack of faith in our fiat currency, right? Our banking system is basically all just ones and zeros on a computer. If something were to fall apart there, we wouldn't have any commerce. So yeah, I think my number one thing right now is just a breakdown in commerce in general, no matter what causes it. 100 things could cause it.
Interesting. It's funny that you mentioned some of the things that you did. I was watching a very long video today on an EMP burst that's due any minute now, of course, to sell the guy's book or book series or what have you. And some of the other things, obviously our government is trying to push us toward a digital currency where they can shut off our money whenever they like. What a convenient way to, recover from the deficit, wouldn't you say?
Well, our not to get into real life politics, because I feel about real life politics at my gaming table, but right. It's a matter of fact that the United States interest payment on the national debt now exceeds what we spend on national defense.
Right.
So I mean, anything like that, I can just imagine a world, a slow burn collapse, slow burn, until eventually any kind of global power no longer has the power to control its own borders or control its own empire, right? I mean, without say, well, the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire was limited geographically by how far its riders could go, how far it could, extend its sphere of influence. And without things like computers and satellites, how far could an empire's sphere of influence go? And it's been done in like the BattleTech universe, with the monopoly on the hyperpulse generator technology, which was what they used to communicate at faster than light. How you can only go so far without good communication. And so you end up in a high-tech post-apocalyptic society, which, I think that BattleTech, they did it twice. Once, and I don't follow any of the Dark Age stuff, but certainly pre 3050 in the BattleTech universe, before anything pre-Clan Invasion, has all that stuff in it. So even though they have a lot of advanced technology, they are still living in a lot of ways in a post-apocalyptic society, at least a neo-feudal society, which is another interesting way of taking on it. What do you think?
Which specific part?
Well, I mean, what kind of what's not a realistic? When I make a game, when I design a game setting, I want it to be entertaining to the players. I mean, we talked about it with your Dark Sun videos. What kind of post-apocalyptic scenario is both plausible, at least realistic enough to make for a fun game? What would make for a fun post-apocalyptic game? What kind of scenario? Something like Gamma World, or I mean.
Well, that was something I wanted to touch on, because I probably should have last week. I think the first step is to determine the height of the previous era. There, like let's use like Traveler tech levels to make it easy.
Sure.
How high, like say it's Earth, right? What was the tech level on Earth before it collapsed? And going from that, because you're going to use that as a basis for the relics that the players may find and be able to use as their for lack of a better term, magic items.
Sure.
Their main equipment. This cool archaeotech that they've discovered, and now they're relying on, and like Thundar's sun sword, that kind of thing. What was the tech level before the collapse, and then how much of that survived, if any. And once you build that framework, you can kind of crash it down from there. Real quick, I wanted to address crafting because he did ask me a question. Crafting, I don't know. I haven't been to Archon's website. You can go there and look around to see if the creature pack is available. If not, scour eBay. Just go onto eBay, search for Dungeons and Lasers, and then use the save search button so that every day, if anything new from Dungeons and Lasers pops up on eBay, you guys can like scoop up those creature pack sets. I do have one extra, but a friend of mine already asked to buy it from me. Actually, it's going to be a trade, but the point is if that were to fall through, I'd have an extra because I don't need a second one. There's nothing in there. Most of the creatures in there are kind of unique creatures. I wouldn't need a second white stag, that sort of thing. And for the most part, everything in there I already have other versions from other companies, and I just like to mix my miniatures. If I need a bunch of giant spiders, I'll just take the coolest poses that I can find and use those. So that's the best advice I can give you. They will probably keep them in production for a while because they'd be fools not to with a pack like that. It would just make sense to keep doing it. But as time rolls on, they will eventually, shelve that particular item because people just aren't buying them. They're probably going to assume that the people who wanted them got them. So just be patient. They're out there. I got, I picked up a third Tarask for a really good price. So I know, there's still a window of opportunity to grab that.
You said you only needed one unique creature. What do you need 3 Tarasks for?
Oh, one for Jackie to paint, one for me to paint, and one to give away.
Oh, okay. I mean, it just you can put 2 on your tabletop and let them fight it out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I could, or bookends.
Bookends, I mean, yeah, they're probably heavy
enough to really do that. I could literally see, the right bookshelf. You got 2 Tarasks just holding up your favorite, books.
Your favorite fantasy books. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, James. So for me, back to the topic. Once I've determined the world the way it was, then I would start, overlaying a new version of that world. Let's just call it a map. And, okay, I'm going to destroy San Francisco. I'm going to smash New York. I'm going to rip a, brand new, continental divide right through the middle of Texas all the way up through Canada, whatever I decide, and look at what the results would be from there. Normally, to be honest, I never use Earth for any of my games unless it's like a Western, a really, like film noir kind of thing, maybe a World War II kind of scenario. But it's pretty rare that I do that. I haven't used Earth in a game in probably 20 to 30 years, right, just because I really like making my own world. That way I can, create everything from the ground up and borrow from everywhere. But at the same time, I really like to have all my worlds sort of connected to my universe that I've created. That way I can, put it near other things and allow influences from outside that I'm really familiar with.
Now that's really interesting to me because I, like you, the only time I ever played on Earth was if I was playing a game where it made sense. Like I'm like a modern game. I played modern games, whether it be a modern fantasy or a modern, like a cyberpunk or something like that.
Top Secret was probably my favorite real Earth game because, like I talked about a while back, I liked making dossiers and files and you know, for the missions for the players by taking magazines and cutting out photos and then, you know, reusing them for some other purpose. You know, I talked about how I found this cool article on an airplane crash that had some really cool photos without bodies strewn all over the place, and I use that. I forget, it's been so long since I played Top Secret, and I literally own almost every single printed product for Top Secret, especially the second edition version, which was a really, really solid game. The original Top Secret was pretty flimsy.
Yeah, that was
in the way of, it was fun. Don't get me wrong, but it was much harder. It was along the lines of Boot Hill in the way in regards to complexity and coverage of, you know, situations and rules. It was, you know, it was really slapped together rather quickly. But then when they put out Top Secret SI, that was a solid, hardcore, really well-rounded game with a lot of options and made it, you know, made the first one look like, you know, kind of like looking at Warriors of Barsoom. Not even Warriors of Barsoom was more complex than the original Top Secret. It's like looking at White Box.
To see Eric Tenkar's stream this evening about clearing out clutter to you know, spark joy, and he was talking about taking, like, you know, 10 boxes of stuff and donating it to a local charity. And I just thought, you know, if I had games that I hadn't played in that long, I mean, yeesh. How long have it been since you said you touched that game?
Oh, decades, but I wouldn't part with it for the world. Just because I do always hold out that I'll get a chance to play some of these games, and even if not, I know the value of them for my son. You know, if I were to, you know, pass away tomorrow, he could literally, you know, pick and choose what he'd want to keep and make a small fortune, you know, as opposed to, you know, having to manage a storage unit for the next 20 years until he got around to going through it, in which case most of the stuff would be rotted and moth-eaten and,
exactly.
You know.
That's my concern.
Right. So I have been kind of, you know, going through things and paring it down, but, you know, one of each is a minimum. You know, I do have a couple of doubles of some things that I could easily, you know, just off, but anytime I've ever done something like that, I've regretted it because the next year with inflation, you know, especially right now with inflation, you know, a year from now, you know, I mean, it could literally quadruple it in value.
Right. You can't afford to replace it. I understand. Yeah. The replacement value is more than what it's worth now, unless the sell value.
Right. And, you know,
just curious.
I you know, the funny thing with inflation is the inflation percentage that they use does not include actual things that matter, like food and anything us normies buy. It's always these weird commodities that the average person can't purchase. A year ago, I kid you not, I buy 3 packs of, like, the really generic hot dogs for my dog. We feed him that, you know, at the dinner table, so he leaves us alone. You know, we give him 1 hot dog at breakfast, 1 hot dog at dinner, and he's got his bowl of dog food we fill regularly. Sure. Last year, they were 88 cents a package, okay? This morning when I went to the store, they were $1.50 something. Sure. So basically double in price, and they're still saying inflation's only at 10%. 10% of what? You know what I mean? And going and looking at, you know, game items and things like that, you know, it's really weird because they're so varied in prices, you know. Like, for example, with the Dark Sun book I bought, okay? The copy of the box set right now, the cheapest one I could find was like $175, and it was in crap condition. I mean, not crap, but, you know, pretty weak condition. This one was like $50, okay? Hardback, brand spanking new, free shipping, and, you know, the only thing bad about it is literally that the maps are cut, you know, into pieces and thrown into the book so that they would fit in the book. Right. And the fact that I would probably never need the map if I played it, maybe I would, but, you know, I've got that smaller version that I could break out, or I could just, you know, go online and show folks. The effect is negligible, but that copy that the guy's selling of Dark Sun for just about $200, a couple years from now it's going to disintegrate. The box is going to be flattened or ruined. The books inside, they could last another 40 years or so before they start to fall apart.
Right.
But paper does not have a long shelf life like we think.
Right. Not unless even if you have to store it in something that's climate controlled and humidity controlled. But there you go.
Everything.
There's a post-apocalyptic scenario, right? I mean,
right. I was just going to segue into that.
The way we store media, I mean, every single way that we store media has a finite shelf life, whether it's CDs or hard drives, or whether it's like a high density high density RAM, like a jump drive or something like that. Everything has a shelf life. So if you were in a situation in which it was impossible to duplicate that data, keep stirring it, keep transferring it from one medium to another, keep moving it, how long until all of that information was lost?
Right. And I think that's one of the reasons I tend to go with a very advanced society. Otherwise, literally nothing is going to make it. You know what I mean? Sure. Anything that they discover is going to be rusted, it's going to be rotten, it's going to be sun-dried or decomposing of some sort or another. So, like for information, we always have been told through sci-fi and fantasy that crystals are the way to go. Well, most crystals, you drop them, what happens? Like glass. Maybe there's some sort of artificial, like I was watching these diamonds that are being grown, literally grown, which is kind of weird. But okay, so maybe they could grow crystals that are similar to diamonds. Maybe diamonds could be the medium, and maybe that's why throughout our own history, crystals and gemstones were so prized. Maybe the ancient aliens taught us that this is the ultimate media's information storage device, and we didn't get it. We just thought, oh, sparkly, and that's why they're valuable. But they actually have another value, kind of like gold, in the fact that it's used in a lot of electronics and shielding and things like that. Maybe that was the original value, and it got
well, that's a really interesting notion too. And in fact, a lot of the post-apocalyptic settings that I like, going all the way back to like H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, right? There's always some leftover from your modern society, whether that's like a colony under the ground, and then you get into something like Hollow Earth, or whether it's a space colony or something like the Black Knight satellite, to get alien Lemurians living under Mount Shasta. There are all of these tales that we can easily incorporate into our games.
Check you out, bringing up some of my favorite conspiracy, weird, woo-woo sort of stuff. Mount Shasta is one of my favorites.
Well, I could have easily said Antarctica would have been the same thing, but
that's another one. Some of the big, I really go for the really big, weird tales like that. Things to waste my time investigating and exploring, because they're so chock full of great inspiration for a game. Antarctica, oh my God, I should literally just go through and make an adventure scenario for all of my favorite conspiracies, from Antarctica, Grand Canyon, Dulce Base. Just go nuts with it, and
So now, think about something like that, like an Andromeda Strain scenario, right? Scientists at the South Pole, scientists at the North Pole, they're the last men on Earth. Something happens, and they wander into, they wander to the Hollow Earth, right? So now we're combining scenarios, and we have a really interesting post-apocalyptic tale that gives the heroes again some hope for something better. Right? If we're not giving the heroes, the players, any opportunity to improve, then why are we playing?
Yeah, that's James L is often reminding me, without the contrast, it's really just an exercise in futility. Basically, how do you want to die in this god awful, god-forsaken scenario that the GM has come up with for you? If there is no way to like you said, if there's no hope and there's no way to improve, you know, might I be better just watching a really horrific movie and then moving on?
Sure. Especially if it's a game where, I don't know about you, but I don't want to play any game that's less than 10 sessions, right? Maybe less than 20 or 30. At this point in my life, I am too old for one shots. I'm too old for one shots. They hold no interest. When we talked about this,
That's kind of a. I'm not. I totally agree, but it's interesting that you put it that way, because some folks, feel the absolute opposite way, that they're too old to commit or get devote that much time or resources or just to be able to commit to a really long game. I'm in the same boat as you. I don't want to, waste my time on a one shot when it's going to be over, and I could have probably done something a lot more satisfying with that time.
sure. And that's what I said. I want to be with friends. I want to cultivate these relationships that we have, and gaming to me is a big part of that. And playing in a scenario, like you said, like this pick a scenario. I don't think I want to play one that's too incredibly bleak. I don't know if I want to play Mad Max or The Road.
I was just gonna say that.
Or it's because I got to go to bed at night and I don't want to have nightmares. So I want to play something. I mean, even if it's like you said, a complete post-apocalyptic scenario, I'd like it to be something like generations later. It's like this. I've got a campaign in the back of my head for a Hyborian style game where it's primitive. The player characters are very primitive humans against a much more high tech civilization. Your guys are the player characters of the Bronze Age, and they've got iron. Something like that. I want it just because it's imbalanced against the players doesn't mean I want it to be impossible for the players.
Right. I mean, because let's face it, people do sometimes get frustrated, and oftentimes when a player leaves a game, because of frustration, they're not actually honest as to why they leave the game, and that makes for not only a very unsatisfying resolution, but it doesn't help the GM up his game.
Right. And that's
just
what we're
like
going
Lemuria and Atlantis. Okay, Filbert, I'm not sure who you are, Filbert. You better not be a troll.
Oh, hey, I was wondering, what exactly is the topic of this stream, please?
You sound awfully familiar. It is post-apocalyptic game scenarios. How you doing?
Oh, okay. Well, I regret to inform you that kind of topic is pretty fucking boring.
Well, you know where the door is. Don't let it hit you in the ass on the way out.
Okay, I'll leave.
Is that
Had a feeling.
You said that's Filbert?
Yeah.
Hey, Filbert, why don't you go take a flying leap through a donut hole?
Had a feeling, but
if it's such a boring scenario, why are there literally dozens of RPGs that are based upon this, right? Everything from basically everything from Buck Rogers to Gamma World, right?
Yep.
And how many games in between?
Massive amounts. The Walking Dead, for example, one of the longest running post-apocalyptic world settings. Isn't it still on the air? Still making new seasons?
What?
The Walking Dead.
Oh, I think it's off now.
Oh, okay.
I
Well,
lost
that went for a
interest.
good
I
long time.
read the comic for a while though. I lost interest when it took some sharp deviations from the comic book.
Gotcha. I never made it past the first half of the first episode. It was like, okay, I get it. It's going to be edgy and what have you, but fine. I'll probably get around to it one of these days. Provided I don't find something better to go in.
Right. No, I again, I
Who
completely.
names their kid Filbert?
What's that?
Raven says, who names their kid Filbert? Wasn't that like a kid's cartoon a while back or something like that? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm sure that Filbert wrote this. Never mind. Never mind. I'm not saying it.
Yeah, most of you guys know to give me an image or a name so that I know who you are when you want to pop in. But he's probably the same guy from a couple weeks back. Got nothing better to do with his time. Sorry, this isn't the show for you. Lose my number, take my name off your list, and toddle the fuck off.
Yeah, I'd tell your mom to lose my number too.
Oh. So welcome to the show from the Hilt. How you doing? I need to apologize. I haven't been able to get to what you sent me. I really want to, and fortunately, it's in an easy to access location. So I will get to it. When I say I'm going to check somebody's work out, I absolutely do. Now, for me, I kind of struggled with this because I have two answers, and most of the first one, most people are going to be like, I hate that version. Body scrub. Body scrub, don't know you. Not falling for it twice today, not in the mood. Had a headache for about 8 straight hours, and now it's finally gone away. I don't need to add to it.
Right now, if you're not friends with us on Discord, don't try to come on the show. Sorry.
What's happening, Justin? And private chat, I bet it's hey, it's Filbert. Okay, laugh out loud. Yeah, don't care.
Yeah.
Sean Cherry, I always liked Twilight 2000 as a playable, grounded, post-apocalyptic game. I need to check it out. I'm tempted to invest in one of the old versions because I don't like grabbing a new game that's based on an old game because then I don't know what I'm really looking at. I don't know what it used to be. If it even needed fixing, I'm a strong fan of the if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Don't fix it to sell a new edition.
Right, because a lot of times it's really not worth it, and especially these days. DM James was talking about Traveler 2300, and I'm like, for $100, I could probably pick up a large portion of the original, and that's going to have more value, as a collector and as a historian of old games than buying the new, very expensive version that, is only that expensive because of inflation, which we just talked about. And, at some point they're going to level out, collector versus current day. I'm going to go with the collector because the current day stuff will drop in price. The collector stuff will never drop in price. Don't worry about it. I hope you just enjoy I absolutely. I hope I hope the same. If it sucks, I'm gonna be, no, I'm kidding. But I'll be kind and I'll talk to you before I do any sort of review. Justin says, I slept in and missed the beginning of the show. What have I missed and should I jump in? You are more than welcome to jump in if you would like to talk about running a post-apocalyptic game scenario for your crew, your friends, your family, what have you. I know you don't run a lot of games, but you're a bro. So if you want in, just make sure you come in as Justin and not 100% not I. Justin, bringing you into the stream.
I
How's
had,
it going, bro?
I had rice cooking on the stovetop. I had to turn it off.
Yes.
Hey, no worries,
don't
no worries.
don't leave the rice burning on the cook
No,
stove, or you'll have your own little post-apocalypse right there in the house.
yeah, no. My
Yeah,
wife
nobody wants that.
made a chicken and rice for dinner, and I forgot to turn the rice off until, well, right now. So
I had Fritos for dinner, so yay.
post-apocalyptic. I like post-apocalyptic when it's so far post-apocalyptic that it's almost legendary to the players, right? We talked about it earlier. You're finding artifacts that are almost like magic items.
Like
And it fits with so many game systems and so many settings. You could almost have it in whether it's a fantasy game or a sci-fi game, a realistic type game where the technology is very real. You put the players back to, like I said, like a steam, a mid-industrial revolution, and then they, start to find things like machine tools and get things back up again.
I was just thinking, what's that one with the tree and the elves? Terry Brooks. Yeah, Shannara.
Sure.
Yeah,
That
I
would
knew
be a
that's what you
case of a
talked about.
post-apocalypse, or the Wheel of Time. Both fantasies on a post-apocalypse theme.
I actually kind of like and have done this more often than not. Run my fantasy game as literally a post-apocalyptic game that the players don't realize until much later in the game. A lot of people believe that our own Earth has been through 5, 6, 7, whatever extinction events where we could someday burrow down into a level where we find the Jetsons level of artifacts and relics.
Yeah.
My longest running fantasy campaign world literally had an event that allowed it to advance very high, but I used magic and technology simultaneously, so that because that's the way I run my whole universe. But then something happened, and not necessarily buried it, but centuries and millennia went by, and that stuff is only the oldest of old legends.
There's nothing more satisfying to see, on a side note, than the opening scene of the laugh riot that is the Shannara TV show, and you see Seattle.
I never saw it. I remember seeing
Seattle.
Thank your soul that you've never seen Seattle.
Right. Funny story. Make it quick. I was in back when I was about 14, and I was working at the game store that I worked at. One of the guys ran a humorous game. It was kind of like a one-shot before one-shots were one-shots, called The Sword of Shanana. It was a total, just a goof-off, just a total goof-off, game session where we all just, needed a break from all the serious, hardcore Dungeons and Dragons we were all playing. And it was mostly adults, and I was one of the people invited to the game because I'd been working my butt off there for so long, and it was a lot of fun. But I never got around to actually ever reading any of the Shannara books ever. I know literally nothing about it. I owned them for a while, never got around to reading them, and I honestly don't feel I missed anything because they're not really talked about today, like so many other things.
I think they're like he's still writing them. There's like 500 of these damn books.
Sure.
And they're all like generations in the family line, right? But yeah, I'd pick up the first one. You might enjoy it.
Maybe I will. I'm trying to go back through a book called Ursharak by the Hildebrandt brothers and somebody else, I forget who. It was a one shot, big thick, novel with the brothers Hildebrandt artwork throughout it. And back, I don't know, if you guys remember who they were. They were pretty big back in the day. They did a lot of art for for a lot of novels and movie posters and things like that. But their story was amazing because they were literally twin brothers who could finish each other's. They literally, had this sort of hive mind thing where one guy would draw or paint and then fall asleep. The other guy would wake up and finish the work. Just total mutant
I
power.
think it's a smart-ass comment, but I decided I should refrain.
But I mean, if you've ever seen their work,
What?
have you ever seen their work?
I have not. I mean, I don't read nearly as much as I used to.
I think you probably did because I think they're responsible for the original classic Star Wars movie poster.
Oh,
Right.
I
I could be wrong about that. I wish I could find the book, because it was a nice sort of hardcore light romp through a kind of like a Middle Earth sort of good versus evil story. Yeah. But I remember enjoying it a lot as a kid, and I wanted to revisit it. Now I can't find it. It should be right there in my pile of book shame, but I'll get back to it. From the Hilt says the Shannara books by Terry Brooks are fantastic in every sense of the word, and yes, it would be considered post-apocalyptic. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like literally, the opening from the TV show shows the ruins of Seattle, overgrown in forest.
Where elves come from, man?
Yeah, it's where elves come from.
San Francisco.
Somewhere around there.
No, from what was that thing called? Where their commune that burned up during COVID. CHOP, is that what it was called?
CHOP.
Yeah, Chad.
Chad. Both.
Anyway, that's.
So back to what I was saying is, I have two thoughts on the apocalypse. I either like to make it ambiguous and nobody knows what it was because it's been so long, or there's multiple versions of the story and nobody has it right, and that's part of the mystery. Because if you solve what happened, you can kind of maybe be a force for repairing what once was, or at least understanding what once was. Or you guys are going to hate me for this one. Or I like to go with something that floods the planet. Just turns it into, the Kevin Costner movie Waterworld with just a little bit more land, but a lot more water. The AD&D game that I'm getting ready to run, it's something similar to that. What?
Waterworld was a great film.
I never saw it.
Fight me, bro.
I never saw it.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I liked it. I liked The Postman. I'm not a big fan of Kevin Costner.
Anything with Kevin Costner, it's awesome.
Yeah.
He was King Koopa.
King Koopa.
I just enjoyed it, just because. I mean, that's like we were talking about Dark Sun. Dark Sun is just the ultimate in. I don't even want to live there. I just don't. Not because it's a desert, but because there's nothing. There's literally nothing. Go ahead.
I think that's the goal of that world. You're supposed to be trying to build something out of the misery. Like, you're supposed to be trying to bring light into that world. That's the game you're supposed to be playing. But it's hard, right? That's the point.
Well, it's literally almost impossible. I mean, it's literally almost impossible.
It's a challenge.
Unless the GM's even open to that as a possibility, because the odds are so stacked against you as the players, with the Dragon Kings, the Sorcerer Kings, or whatever, all that crap that, one sign of uprising, me as the DM, I would just squash it flat and go, okay, make up new characters. Maybe next time you'll be a little bit more careful, and pretend to be more evil before you actually, because that's what would happen. The evilness that's everywhere.
It could also be exploring the necessity of authority, right? Like, there's a lot in fiction and lore, like real world indoctrination, that teaches you that having authority is always bad without exception, but without legitimate authority, you have roving gangs doing as they please to whomever. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
You end up with the very bleak society you're afraid of in the first place because you won't accept legitimate law.
Or make it an actual possible option.
Yeah.
You have to have it, but if it's so bleak, then
Yeah.
what are we striving for? I mean,
that's the difference between authority and despotism, right?
Right.
Sometimes executing the guy is legitimate because he just murdered 20 people.
Right.
Executing a guy because he looked at you funny. That's you gotta
Or
weigh
called
those.
you out on your shenanigans.
Yeah. I don't know. Back to the topic though.
Exactly.
Well, no, that you didn't really stray like all that far. But with my worlds that I do that with, I want to have that's what I thought growing up, the idea of dystopian and post-apocalyptic movies and things like that were to inspire you to greatness, to not let it happen or to fight against it when it does happen, or to maybe rebuild and make better what's left of the mess mankind has gotten itself into. Without that, you end up being the bad guys and just making it worse. And that's not the kind of game I want to run. I don't want to watch my players, plotting and scheming on how to, hurt imaginary people. It just seems like a very unhealthy thing to do. I understand that a lot of people, oh, I just want to break from being the hero. You've never been the hero. You've only pretended to be the hero. Get it right. Keep doing it until your real world life is actually influenced by it a little more. Otherwise, you're risking doing the exact opposite with those evil campaigns of I hate to say it, but I've seen a lot of people take the hobby to a very unhealthy conclusion, and very few, not very few, a fair number of people I've met along the way have actually used it as an inspiration for what to strive for in the real world. Having played the hero, they're more likely to intervene or step up when someone needs some help. Just to get that sort of same feeling like in the game when you've been the big damn hero. You've completed the quest. You've made the world a little bit better place by your actions.
Yeah, I do think that you run the risk of some real psychic damage if you allow these things to take control. And without getting any stupid satanic panic stuff, I just think that I think that if you're going to play a game like this, let's be big damn heroes.
Right.
Oh, that's
I mean, because at the very least, how do you go and tell your family, oh, so how was the game, dear? Oh, well, we did this and we did this horrible thing, and then we did this other horrible thing, and then we did this other horrible thing, and it was awesome. And everybody in the room just looks at you like you need to be, put away.
We raped the horses. We rode off on the women. We pruned the hedges of many small villages. Come on.
Versus coming back from the opposite scenario, coming back from a great game where you rescued the princess, you slayed the dragon, you killed the tyrant, you did all the good things. You did all the things that people would be like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. Versus you did what?
So when you play your post-apocalyptic scenario, what you're really doing is you're stacking the. I'm a big fan of building tension and conflict in games. I was trying to explain this to I don't think that people understand the way I run an RPG. I don't go in for that thing that the GM is another player at the table, because I don't run a character. What I don't. to me, the NPCs are not just the NPCs. The whole universe, the whole galaxy, the whole world, whatever you're setting, my setting is a character. Whether it's the weather,
Well,
or the tide.
that's always been one of the cardinal sins of the hobby as a GM is to run a DMPC
Right. Well,
because
even beyond that, what I'm saying, Shadow, my point, my real point, is that in my running this character, I try to create tension for the PCs. Right. I'm always trying to create it's conflict. If there's no conflict in your game, you're not playing a role playing game. There's got to be it's all the old tropes from literature. You know, man against nature, man against himself, man against man. You have to create this tension that builds so that the players can overcome something. And so when I create a post-apocalyptic world, I'm trying to create interesting tension for the players. I'm trying to create a scenario that so the players, when they overcome it, they'll feel some sense of satisfaction. You mentioned that without saying it overtly. We're trying to create a real sense of satisfaction for our players, right?
mm-hmm.
And so we create a sense of satisfaction by increasing the tension to the greatest possible degree without breaking the game.
Right, and I think another thing about the DMPC, when you're running like a one shot or a very short campaign, you're not going to get that many NPCs in, and that runs the greater risk of abusing the NPC, making them more of the show or the movie or the game, whatever you want to look at it, than it should be. When you're running a long campaign, you are constantly bringing in new people, new walk-on roles where every one of them is a potential red herring for the players to interact with a lot or a little, or be sidetracked or all this, which that's the way the world works. Like when I go to the grocery store, I have the opportunity. Life will put in front of me people I could just walk on by and don't say hi to. People I say hi to, and then people I say not only say hi to, but start up a conversation and exchange ideas or warnings or oh hey, cool shirt, and then we talk about the similarities, and then we go our own way. Sometimes though those kinds of chance meetings have led to greater relationships, and the same should be for your NPCs. They should all be capable of going a lot farther, but you don't know until the player characters interact with it. They could totally ignore this NPC that you've written up 18 pages worth of freaking story on, expecting them to go, oh, okay, I'll follow you and I'll do this quest for you. And then they just like, oh, okay, well, we're going over here. And totally, more or less ignore the NPC. So you've got to really, go with the flow, not invest so much into any one NPC unless you're really sort of striving for that railroady experience, or that's part of the night's adventure. And without interacting with this particular NPC, it's not going to go very far because you're not ready for it. And real quick, from the hilt, I was a 14-year-old kid during that particular period of time, the Satanic Panic, and I actually literally saw the real side of the Satanic Panic, as in real Satanism, in the hobby. And then I saw people, kind of tourist sort of, delving into it, trying to use it a little bit for, inspiration. And then the people that just, lost it from this hobby and literally, started doing crazy crap because of the hobby. So there was ample room for legitimate concern because it was so new and nothing had ever come out like this, where people were, role playing and oftentimes taking their role playing away from the table into the real world Whereas
Oh, that
now,
movie.
most of that is pretty, okay, and people can understand and deal with it. But I find it funny that the very same company that started it now is literally sort of almost openly embraced actual Satanism. The things that they used to take out of the books, they now like shove in your face practically first page of the game. So I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but having been around this crazy hobby for 40 plus years, it does seem like a complete reversal of that particular topic. It's like there's no longer a satanic panic. There's more like a satanic recruitment.
There's not a satanic panic. It's a real life post-apocalypse scenario.
There you go. There you go. Because every day I wonder, what fresh hell is going to be served up for breakfast, and every day I manage to make it through to be able to hang out with you fine folks and talk about this crazy hobby. Okay, no worries, Dustin. We're not going anywhere for roughly another hour. I'll be here, and then I'll be going over to the Quantum Show with Nathan Allen, where we will talk about real world conspiracies and real world mysteries, the paranormal, with the cryptids. I don't know what's on topic for tonight, but that's where I get a lot of my craziness from. Because believe it or not, I got into that stuff before I started getting into the hobby. As a little kid, I remember the Travis Walton story literally being on the news. We were at the dinner table watching it, and it was like real news, and I'm like, totally confused, asking my parents, what, this stuff's real, because I had already seen War of the Worlds and all the 1940s and 50s and 60s, alien invasion movies and all that crap, growing up as a kid, and then I was seeing it on the news back in the 70s. So it was then I started getting into all of that, and that actually led me to Dungeons and Dragons and all the other millions of RPGs.
That is, I wonder how many people that play role-playing games do follow conspiracy theories to some degree or another. It's a sort of interesting, be an interesting case study.
Right, and my son's always giving me a hard time for watching Ancient Aliens. It's one of my guilty pleasures.
It sounds like
Because-
the alarm's over.
Awesome, because the show literally has inspired me to use stuff from it for my gaming world more than any other show. There's so many wacky, goofy, potentially true things that they talk about. I know that it should have been done way differently, and probably by different people. I mean, the producers, not the people that get to talk, but I mean, they're literally still showing interviews of people that have passed away a decade ago as if it's new information, and it bums me out because some of those people were really cool people, but they're acting like they just said this last week and we're putting it in the show, but in fact they've taken it out of context or taken it from a previous conversation and just cut and pasted it here, and it's really a disservice to their memory.
Well, like you said, a lot of the Ancient Alien stuff is based on, especially the Indian stuff, and I mean Indian not native, right?
Yeah.
If I can
both. You got Dwarka, that was a city that was destroyed by whatever, and now they found it off the coast of India underwater. There it is, and other places.
Stuff from the Vedic texts, and they're talking about using bombing each other into oblivion, and it's interesting to me, and to use these things in a game. I can imagine a modern game where the players are investigators that find real evidence of something like this and go looking for usable artifacts, whether it be something like fusion reactors, anti-gravity devices, death rays. I can imagine players playing something like CIA operatives or something like that. You get like the local law enforcement involved in a really diverse party, and then you're off to the races, and you've got a really fun, campaign.
I find interesting about what you said though. I actually like the converse when it comes to the characters. I actually have had more fun when the players are like completely in over their head, just completely and ill-equipped to handle the situation, but they're the ones stuck in the situation. It's cool to make up a cool military, ex-vet or CIA.
Like Cthulhu style game.
Kind of, yeah. Where
but maybe
someone
not that
just
dark.
stumbles across something, it seems to bring more tension and more creativity, because when the players are all decked out in gear and have all the skills, they just rely on that and play the characters.
You let the people in your party make those characters. They're just the first to die.
I knew you were going to say that, dude. I knew it. I knew you were going to go there. Just like, yeah. And then it falls into that's not a bad idea. You've got this covert ops team that stumbles across this thing and they're transporting it, and then the bad guys kill them, but somehow the MacGuffin ends up in the hands of the paper boy. And like he's got to figure out what to do with it.
You're rolling your die behind your screen as the DM, and for all the people with specialized training, you double the damage rate that they receive. just because of the classic character.
Bad idea. No.
There are lots of ways to do things, and I have incorporated many of them.
I could be evil.
Balance is an illusion.
You've only met peaceful, just and well aligned neutral good, Justin. So far, you haven't met neutral evil, Justin.
I've never killed any players intentionally, but
right.
I didn't say kill intentionally. I just said make it very easy for them to die.
Is there really a difference?
Yes, a very small difference, but it is there.
There is. There's a guy that Shadow. There's a guy that we know, who you and I have gamed with. In his games, every once in a while he passed a sticky note to a player that would say, don't stand near the paladin.
That's pretty messed up.
So it's when the GM does that.
That's kind of messed up, man.
You have to ask him about it.
That might as well be like a forever etched in your mind. Never play the paladin.
Well, the paladin was a power gamer, so he kind of deserved.
Oh yeah. Power gamers should never last.
He deserved what happened to him.
Gotcha.
And he was sort of a dick power gamer, so
yeah.
I was in this gaming group for a season.
I mean, we've probably all done it, at some point in our gaming career where we were that guy. But thankfully, most of us have, moved on and realized that,
I don't know, man. Every game I've ever been in, I've always just what I'm feeling, what class is closest to that, or race, and then just pick random stats or whatever. I don't power game anything. I run on feeling, not on stats.
I try to, as Bo could tell you, I try to pick like an archetype of character and just play it to the hilt. Just try to get into it as much as possible, because that's why I made the character. I can make any character I want. I want to play something that has some meaning and might or might not, well, I try to make it a stretch for me, something of a challenge. That's why, like in Bruce's game, I did in fact run the Paladin because it, when you're in a fantasy situation.
So the person that was getting the notes was standing next to you.
But you are a non-role playing chucklehead, and you are a control freak. So I don't need to listen to either one of you.
Hey,
when I'm an
RPG scholar.
It's hard to be a control freak as the actual player, and this last it's going on almost 2 years now that I've been almost exclusively a player these days, and man, we got to get Bo into a game as an actual player one of these days real soon because it's so much fun.
I am so rusty at the games, but if you want to run a game, I will play until you kick me out for sucking at games.
No, it's all good.
I honestly, you know what, Justin? I think if you really put your mind to something, you would impress everybody.
You can accomplish anything.
I can accomplish eating a pizza puck.
Now you know. Thanks, Dad.
Knowing is half the battle.
But,
the other half is personal.
I've played with a lot of people this last year and a half or so, and most of them are pretty dang good. But there have been a few that I probably wouldn't invite to a long-term game just because I've been able to determine what they want, from the hobby or from playing, as it were. Some people really are better as a GM until they get to the point I was at where they literally needed the break. They needed to learn what it's like on the other side because players and GMs, the chemistry is vastly different that makes up both types of people. The players, they look at the game completely different than the GM. The GM or GMs, I should say, often have literally no clue what it is the players really are in there and what they're playing for. They always assume, again, I'm making an assumption as well, they tend to assume that the players are in it for certain reasons, and more often than not, it's really a lot simpler than what the GM thinks. And playing to something or GMing toward a certain mindset that the players aren't even engaging in is a terrible thing to be a part of.
Well, that was actually that goes back to my first point about post-apocalyptic game. What's the motivation for the players in that kind of a game setting? And that's something I'm really curious about because when I think about all of the different kinds of games that I've played or know about, whether it's like this basically, is this a survival game? Is this a straight like a quest for a MacGuffin? I mean, what would you do to hold the players' interest and help meet their needs? You mentioned in an earlier video, Shadow, that you care a lot about treasure as a player, which I find interesting because in our game, I give very little treasure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I don't know about you, Shadow, but for me, I like treasure
That's
too.
Shadow.
I can be respectful on Saturdays. Right, Shadractica?
Shadrack. I literally take no offense to it. It's actually quite endearing, the fact that folks do that sort of thing. I forget where I was. I think it was earlier with you, Justin, on a DM James stream. If you can't rip on your friends, they're not your friends.
Yeah.
They're really not.
With freaking Hungar letting him pretty good on Friday.
Yeah.
Hey, what did he do? What did he say? He freaking laughed his ass off. He was like, "Wow, that is a good burn."
Yeah.
We're beyond that. Getting our feelings hurt, unless it's like something really cruel. Like even the whole control freak thing. That was coming from someone who was hurting themselves deep inside, and that I hate to say that's what makes it funny, but it's funny because it's just so not true, and everybody knows it. My son was the first person to literally die of laughter thinking about it because
we pointed it out to him and he started laughing his ass off.
But now I get to bring it up every stream until I die.
Same here. What are these symbols of authority you keep making with your hands?
I know it's a heart, dude.
Bring it.
Oh, bring it.
Bring it.
Your demands
that's
for
the best
obedience.
You got. That's going to get old. I mean, that's going to get old in a couple of years.
We're going to make it at least a couple of decades.
Right. Thank you. I would love to live another couple of decades, provided it's not in a post-apocalyptic scenario.
Fuck you. We're starting the apocalypse right now, just so you have to live through it.
I really like the idea of rebuilding, but I know that's a big ask for folks in those scenarios. I like to build up to that, because if they're not into it, that's fine. Like I said, it's a big ask. Oh, I want you to rebuild the world that I destroyed. Well, fuck you. Why'd you destroy it, bitch?
Well, right? It's not about the whole world.
There's other things make it if you throw enough MacGuffins, treasures, things at them, and they've got to the 1980s Mark Singer Beastmaster. Beastmaster makes a great post-apocalyptic setting. The hero has to kill the evil witch that runs the city-state to free the people. You could scale it up or down. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about. It was even in Conan the Barbarian, right? You had the dark side character who shot lasers out of his eyes. You have a bad guy that relates to the setting, a mutant, witch king,
that's dominating a region,
an alien, an evil genius. You've got to give the players something to hold on to, and again, they have to have that conflict.
Right, but you also have to, have something on that hook, some sort of bait to reel them in and get them to buy into the story and into the why should I care? Why should I play this game versus that game? Because let's just say Gamma World versus D&D. Okay, well, Gamma World, like I was talking, you guys were mentioning that I like Treasure. I like Treasure because I've had so much fun giving it out, being the Monty Hall DM and making tailor-made kick-ass magic items that the players just look at the Post-it note that I just wrote for them or the index card and just went, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. That kind of, joy that you can impart to your players and your friends with a little index card. I've seen people react, like they just got the greatest Valentine's card ever. You know what I mean? From a +3 sword with a couple of just tailor-made abilities or something like that, to where they'd rather die than lose it. But I gave it to them. But they'd rather die than lose it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Oh, you go, Bo.
No, I don't. I was just acknowledging. I'm just validating Shadow.
Yeah, I was going to say that earlier when you were talking about Treasure. It's not the I like Treasure too, but it's not the quantity. It's the quality of it. It has to be something intriguing, worthwhile. Like 3,000 gold coins is all good and fun, but I'd rather have that sword you were mentioning.
Right.
That was unique to my character.
Because like Bo was mentioning with Beastmaster, the sword that he had. Imagine, that it was actually, if you were to just take that sword out and replace it with like a Vibro sword or the Sun sword from, Thundar the Barbarian, all of a sudden you just changed everything with the little thing like that you now then, can go off into the weeds, where did it come from? Why is it this? Oh, and then they discover, oh, it's not even magical. This is a technological, artifact,
It's from a post-gone epoch, as they would say.
Right.
But yeah, even like the overplayed, like you're talking about building community and trying to find something safe. Like I was thinking when you said that The Walking Dead. That was during the good seasons. That was the strive of it. The characters were trying to maybe not rebuild the world, but eke out a safe space, eke out some security and ability to grow as people instead of just being wandering survivors. Um, the show just kept destroying it in such haphazard ways, so it became tiresome. But you allow your characters to find some security, and maybe it gets overrun after a certain point, or maybe it grows. If your players aren't into to staying at that base, being there, that's good. They could be gathering resources to maintain it, but they're always outside of it, right? They're always the forerunners of that community.
Right.
You know, looking for a new power cell to keep their loved ones and whatnot safe, to make sure that they have a place to go home to. And that's better than it was before, but they're always out there looking for the new piece of treasure to make it better. Because it's post-apocalypse, right? You're trying to stay in the theme.
Right.
Which is like something you could work with if you want to. I don't know. Am I off base? You don't seem
No, I think that again, you got to have that the players, they need something to keep the game going from week to week.
Like a goal.
In a player in a setting that is inherently unstable, that's going to do one of two things. And it's a balancing act on the part of the GM. Either it's going to bore them to tears, they're going to get so frustrated they don't want to play anymore, or if you do it right, they're going to get a great sense of accomplishment when things turn their way.
Yeah, and that was my point with the Dark Sun setting. Yeah, it's really bleak, but your point as a good team, a team of good people, is to make it a little less bleak somewhere for as long as you can.
Right.
You know, maybe you lose the game by getting crushed by one of the Dragon Lords or whatever they're called.
Right.
But maybe it doesn't matter what they're called. But maybe you eke out just enough security to resist the ones that attack you during the length of the game.
Right.
I think you shouldn't just keep the game going for like a decade because, hey, there's more evil in the world.
No.
Eventually, you get sick and tired of eating vanilla ice cream.
If they meet their goal, then that's fine. But what's their goal? Thinking about like the classic Mad Max trilogy, right? This is Max's. I guess it was actually 4 movies, but I'm thinking about is
the original 3.
Well, Road Warrior, Mad Max, Road Warrior, and Thunderdome. Right?
Yeah.
So if I think about Max and his evolution as a character, I want to give my players a chance for their characters to evolve. And Max is a guy that has to redeem himself and doesn't redeem himself till the end of the 3rd movie because he pretty much fails at the end of the 2nd movie, kind of, sort of. He's kind of like Moses. He sees the promised land, but he can't go into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's been so long since I've watched any of those movies. I'll have to give them another look, see with Jack.
I could never.
I wanted to go back to something you guys were talking about. I get a lot of ads for like mobile games and video game ads and things like that. And it occurred to me just now how many of them actually are centered around having that safe, home or community or building up. There's so many of those games that are based on that Fallout, and a million others.
All they are is go out, fetch MacGuffin, bring it back to improve your base.
Right.
And that's basically what you would be doing instead of it being go out, fetch MacGuffin to improve your kit, like D&D is, right? Magic sword, better armor.
D&D does eventually get to that point too if you get to play long enough.
Yeah, I think it starts off at that point because you're getting the sword, the armor, the horse, or whatever you're
Whatever you're after.
Right.
yeah, whatever you're after to improve your equipment. You're switching it from your personal equipment to your community's survivability. Which is,
And I think especially
legitimate.
for like younger players, that's actually very educational. It teaches them that they need to strive for these things, this materialism, in order to survive and eventually prosper.
Yeah.
That urges them on to plan ahead and think about stuff outside of their own comfort zone. They have to stretch and move towards getting those things. Like when you get your first car, now you're thinking about your whole world is just expanded 10 times or more, depending on where you live and your resources available, et cetera. Constantly dumping money into that crappy car that your parents gave you, versus that great car that your parents bought for you, and now you have to be careful, and the slightest little scratch and all this that can be a huge part of a post-apocalyptic game. But there's also the you could literally run it like a D&D game where it's a constant travel from location to location with adventures along the way, to where you could literally and I have run it just like a D&D game where they have no set home, but they're traveling, and especially with Gamma World, where there was so many great species and groups of people to bump into, mutated animal communities, mutated human communities, the human supremacists, the robots, the androids, all those different things where you could really, not just the monster of the week, but the new outpost or civilization to meet along the way, until you finally decide, hey, let's make one of our own. Let's be the next big, barter town, or the next big, bastion of hope for, the rebuilding of the world. Or you could, find other goals.
It's not even that. Like, it's that's great. That's a good first campaign act. But then you get you're not dealing with big bads during that act of the campaign. You're dealing with world survival, not civilizational survival, right? At that point, you're trying to survive the actual land. And then when you set up your own community, you're now fighting the sorcerer over the hill or whatever, right? The tech mage over the hill, or the oppressive government,
or the actual cause of the apocalypse. If it's let's go with the
I think
apocalypse.
that could be if it's zombie, yes, you'd be fighting that. But if you're doing it with a governmental disaster, or magic came back into the world disaster, or one of those kinds of things, because you keep mentioning Dark Sun over the last few weeks, so I'm thinking that in my head. You'd want to keep that the actual cause as a final act, and have what I'm thinking is your second act as a full planned out campaign.
Maybe trying to
one of
bring the world itself back to health.
That would be your end thing, right? But if you're talking, once you set up your community and something attacks you, like a rival community, your fail state would be your community falling, but none of your party members need to die in that, right? So if your town is established, and then another town or a dark lord or something like that decides to F with you, right? You now have that kind of interrelation between the war, right? What your
Right.
party would be leading maybe a couple of dozen
Survivors.
well, no, I'm
Survivor?
thinking before it comes to the climax of that event. As you're going back and forth, throwing shots at each other, you might be moving troops. Like there's a word for it. I'm trying to think of hirelings. Right, like you get some people, you go there and fight them, do a bunch of like missions, right? Scenarios.
Sorry,
But
done.
yeah, it happens.
It got wet, and then it decided it wouldn't let me plug it in because the port got wet, and it's dry now.
I gotta know how your port got wet, bro. What are you doing with your camera?
And there he is back again. The Dustin we've all come to know and love.
But you know what I mean? Like when it comes to the climax
Absolutely.
of this stage and
Well,
the
wait,
opposition.
Are you talking about climaxes?
Yes, we're
check
talking
out.
about legitimate climaxes, not whatever you're doing with your camera. It comes to the climax of this stage, and the opposing community comes to your community, and if your players win the battle, fine, you survive. Good, thumbs up. If your players lose the battle, your community's destroyed. But that doesn't mean any of your players died, any of your characters died. So you could all be surviving to move on and try and rebuild again somewhere else, like you did in that over.
And there's always revenge.
And there's always revenge,
There's
right?
always revenge.
There's always
I mean,
revenge.
what more satisfying revenge than to take over the old bad guy lair, and now you've got your own Spider Skull Island to rebuild from.
Yeah. Well,
I
of-
like that idea. It's kind of like when the GM throws the players in jail and takes away all their stuff, and they've got to search through the dungeon to find all their old equipment, and now they're rearmed, and now they can mount the counteroffensive to bash the bad guys and throw them in jail, and
that could literally happen, right? That could literally happen. The evil lord defeats you, destroys your town, takes a whole bunch of your citizens into slavery, and because the citizens are the gear in this kind of game, right?
The resource.
Yeah, they're your equivalent to having a shit ton of gold. So you find them back at Skull Island, and you liberate them and take over Skull Island. If you're successful in that like redemption arc or whatever.
And so
kind of like in the new Battlestar Galactica, where the people were the most important thing. The little guys were the most important resource. It was kind of like that ticker that they would have every once in a while.
Yeah,
showing when people
specifically
were dying and being born.
A specific analogy in Battlestar Galactica would be the Razor miniseries movie. Yeah, because they had that other battleship come over and try to take control of the fleet.
Was it the Andromeda?
No, it was the Pegasus, right?
Pegasus. Yeah.
I think so. I don't know.
Pegasus was the other Battlestar in the Battlestar Galactica TV show
that popped up around the middle of the series.
I might have seen it, but it's been so long. But exactly,
Yeah.
The genre post-apocalyptic has really just as much to offer, I think, as many of the other genres. And if you think about it, if you were to rate the genres, in popularity, obviously fantasy comes first, and Cthulhu and sci-fi might, depending on the era, be tied for second. But post-apocalyptic, easily comes in third, fourth, or fifth, depending on your area and your group. But it's still, it's always going to be in the top five because it really has so much to offer.
It also fits in every other setting. It's more of a, I don't know if it's a setting unto itself or a style or again, like you said, a trope that fits in.
Well, you're right. It could
Modern
be either
fantasy.
the main course or a season or a side dish, as it
Yeah.
were. You know, like with Western for me, I love throwing any kind of Western tropes I can into any genre, sci-fi, fantasy, etc. I'll throw Western in as much as I can because that's my particular kink or whatever you want to call it. I like to throw that in there, but you could just as easily you know be a post-apocalyptic guy, and every game you have actually has that underlying, recovery from or what
Yeah, it's
have you.
Al.
What's happening, Al? Welcome to the show.
Sorry for distracting you.
No worries. It's always nice to have people come in. Even though we've only got about 30 minutes left of the show. Welcome to the show, Grandma. Welcome to the show, Al. He says post-apoc is just low tech, low fantasy. It could be.
It could be high on those things.
Right, with the I think it was the alternative version of Gamma World, the hardcover books, which were really good books, and I wish I never got rid of them. A lot of the tech was based on nanotechnology, which is pretty freaking high tech. From our understanding right now, if we could do the things that they did, or dream of doing with nanotechnology, it would literally change everything we could imagine. Being able to.
And I would consider Shannara to be high fantasy. There's a lot of magic in that world. It's a world built on magic, and it's post-apocalypse.
Sure, even the aforementioned Dark Sun, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's still a high fantasy game, a high fantasy setting. Pardon me. Obviously, the rules were intended for high fantasy. It's still D&D. It has some modifications, but it's still follows all of the basic framework of a second edition D&D game.
The jury's still out with me with second ed. I don't know if they were trying to lower the magic level or raise it. I didn't technically play it exclusively. It was really just an addition to our AD&D game. We pulled the stuff we liked because I did notice
which is fine.
They're damn near indistinguishable, except for my biggest gripe with it was the distribution of loot, treasure, and magic items was like really pulled back, literally 50% of what, like the treasure tables. The percentages were the same, but the amount you found when you rolled was half of what it used to be. But yet it seemed like the characters were a little bit more powerful, so they wanted the characters to be, this more important, or have more power derived from themselves as opposed to the treasure, which is fine if that's the way you want to go. I like it the other way around. That way the players
switch it.
can always be really easily humbled. Like when you take their stuff away, they're back to being like close to normal people with a few cool abilities versus really powerful characters that damn near don't need magic items anymore. And I don't like that, because then you're kind of playing a superhero game, and if you've ever played any superhero game, there's rarely any treasure or magic items. If there is just one crazy magic item that's the source of the story for a bunch of episodes. Right, which I'm not a big fan of. I like to do it, differently. But one of these days we're gonna have to do a superhero episode just to really irritate Kai. Just kidding, buddy. Because I do superheroes different than Marvel or DC. There are no capes or spandex. More of a heroes type of show. Which, got to tell you, I freaking loved that show. That show was so refreshing when it came to the genre. I don't know if anybody here ever watched it.
I liked the Mutant X, but I tried rewatching it and I couldn't.
I did not own a television when Heroes was on the air.
Good.
That was like 2000.
Roughly, yeah.
It was really a 5-year stretch where I didn't own a TV at all. So
if you ever get the chance, it was one of the most refreshing takes on the genre of all time. The writing, the way everything just sort of, built up and everything started to connect.
It was
These things from previous episodes would, in the beginning would seem inconsequential, but then they would become crucial, and everything was just, tying together like a perfect net, if you will. Just everything.
It was a
just
shift
right.
away from episodic to it's when the American system of producing television shifted from
Right.
disjointed
back, Raven.
standalones to
Right, like Star Trek and things like that, where you could literally take the season and throw it into a blender and
you'd
play
barely
it in
notice.
order. It didn't
That's
matter.
intentional. That's set up that way for syndication.
Yeah,
Right,
but
right.
it does get annoying, if you're actually
Right,
looking for stories.
Right, which is, you could never do that with a post-apocalyptic game. You absolutely have to go in, episodic format versus, I mean, you have to have a start, beginning, middle, and end for a good story. Which,
Yeah,
I get it. A lot of people, don't have the time or the ability to commit to something like that. But I've always had more enjoyment out of,
something going somewhere.
media. Right,
Yeah.
right. It just,
That's one of the reasons why I'm not a huge fan of decade spanning or multi-year spanning games. It's because the second you tell me that that's what you're planning on doing, you're telling me you have no story or concept beyond like
Seems like the opposite of that
loose...
to me.
What?
Seems like the opposite. If I'm telling you I want to do a decades-long story, or a decades-long game, then I must have a decades-long story, or why play?
right. I was thinking something.
It
similar.
always feels more like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then it's like the scene. No, one time at band camp is a remembrance of things. It's like the menu scene in Dude, Where's My Car?
I don't know that reference. I mean, I saw it a million years ago, and I can't remember anything about it.
They pull up to the Chinese food restaurant, and then they ask for something, and the speaker just says, and then, so they add something else to the menu, and then the speaker says, and then, and they add something else to the menu. Next thing you know, they went for like one thing, and they got like 40.
Oh, okay.
Because
See, with me,
something is just added to the end of the story to keep the game going.
Right, I can totally see that, but my take on that would actually be like, so this is going to be a major railroad, going from one episode, or from the very tip of Australia all the way across the other end of it. You already know where I'm going.
No. It's like a car in a sandbox. It doesn't go anywhere.
Because the world should have a lot of consequences where things happen in the world whether you interact with them or not. So if I've got a world, a post-apocalyptic world, let's say I got a post-apocalyptic plot that's going to span, I've got 100 years of future history in the can. If you don't interact with that future history, it will happen.
Yeah.
If you don't
that's
stop
totally
it,
fair. That's totally fair. But I can see a lot of less talented GMs sort of, just using it as, this is the framework, and you guys are going to go through the maze with all my stops along the way. I want to hear when someone pitches a game idea to me that all I want to really hear is that I want to play this campaign as long as possible. Versus, I've got this history planned. I don't want to know that. Don't tell me that. Just tell me you want to keep playing this particular campaign until the cows come home. I'm on board with that. That's all you got to tell me. Keep your DM secrets.
It's not that I'm against the game being long. I'm against the game adding to the story after its conclusion. To keep the world alive.
Season of Babylon 5. like the last
Yeah.
season of Babylon 5.
Like the
You know,
last
it's like,
season of
yeah, okay.
Babylon 5. But that
We
was
didn't
the
need it.
studio's fault.
No,
I
like
know,
the,
I know.
like the reboot of Traveler, where they killed the Emperor to reboot it to a whole new timeline.
Yeah. Well,
Was
like
a
that's a
Traveler,
different
that was like
setting, right? Isn't
I think
that
it's Mongoose Traveler.
2300? Or are you
No,
talking
no,
about
Mongoose Traveler versus
Okay.
GDW Traveler.
Okay. So they I am not
They
familiar with
killed
that.
the Emperor, and it didn't really reboot it. It just took the timeline in directions that a lot of the original players didn't want it to take.
Right. And see, for me, that's
actually
fine
playing
because
the lore and as
I
written.
never ever used any Traveler history, timelines, any of that. I just took that and just tossed it aside. I didn't need that.
Yeah.
Wasn't going to use it. It's freaking, for me as a GM, the joy is making up something brand new that's fine.
You understand the point.
Two things. To L, no, I'm not saying 6 to 8 sessions. I'm saying once the story ends, whether that be 2 sessions or 200 sessions, when the story ends, the story has ended. Create a new world, do a new thing.
Right, because I've literally run some games where we came to a point where it was a perfect ending and everybody was happy.
Yeah.
But there's nothing worse than a game just stalling, or just ending with no real good ending. I hate that.
You know what was really bad for this?
At the very least, give me a week to come up with a wrap it up episode. You know what I mean? That would be better than the last episode of Battlestar Galactica, because that one just like, what? This is what you got?
I get the concept, but it was rushed.
Yeah,
it was terrible.
And I think they only did that to be allusions to the Galactica 1980.
Mm-hmm.
Like a acknowledgement of what had come before thing, but nobody should be acknowledging Galactica 1980.
Agreed from the hilt. It's amazing. I was running and still am a particular campaign where I really had no end, but because of things, a whole bunch of things wrapped up really, really well, and it was just like they were like, "Did you plan this?" And I'm like, "Not even, man. I had no clue, and this was freaking epic. We're good."
It's like you said. You want Bo said you want there to be like concrete things happening in the world, whether your players interact with them or not.
Well said, Al.
Every game I've been in, the two things that separate them from either a good one or a bad one has been whether or not the DM has or GM has had a calendar, right? Like a calendar. It doesn't have to be like super fancy. Go to the dollar store and get one of those stupid little calendars and just scratch out the year and write down events in it, and your party starts at the beginning of the calendar, and the events happen whether your characters interact with them or not. If the dark sorcerer is doing a ritual on the full moon of the 3rd month of your calendar, right, and your players totally ignore it, it still happens, and whatever the whomever is summoning whatever comes into the world and starts running mayhem wherever that happened, right?
Yeah.
And then now your players have to deal with that instead of a bunch of cultists or a sorcerer or whatever.
Right.
If they choose to interact with that. If they choose not to,
Yep. That's what I've been getting on in my game world. Now, this is not necessarily germane to a post-apocalyptic campaign. This is something that could, a tool that a GM could use in any kind of game.
Yeah.
Even Hello Kitty Happy Fun Island or whatever the hell you're calling
it. It doesn't matter what he's playing. It's called that. he could change games. It's still called Happy Hello Kitty Island Express Adventure Party Time. Weird pink fluffy balls.
Friendship is magic. Yeah.
Unicorns forever, bro.
With apologies.
What?
I said with apologies.
With apologies. Sorry.
I actually like that, Justin. I like that a lot. The idea of the calendar, like literally getting a physical calendar.
Yeah.
Another thing I picked up recently from Dark Sun, as a matter of fact, I don't know if you guys watched my review of the miniature version of it, where it came with these two little notebooks that like stand up like kind of like an easel, where the GM's got his version and the players got their version, where the GM's got all his notes, but page after page, set up, this is like just an adventure idea or what, or the things for the night, and then the players are given the same thing, but it's got corresponding like images of artwork to help get them into the mood and the flow of what you could tell them, flip to this page, kind of like the choose your own adventure books kind of idea. I'm actually going to go out and get some of those little notebooks so that I can do stuff like that. Maybe even have them printed so that when I run a particular game, I can go, okay, flip the page such and such, and everybody can flip to that page, or the group can flip to that page, and then go, oh, okay, that's what it looks like. Oh, okay, whether it's AI artwork, hand drawn stuff, or
I'm gonna take some good advice given to us by our good friend Shauner from Beyond the Mountains of Mist and Rainbows. Go on to Pinterest or Art Studio or any of those sites and just download those pictures to your iPad.
My Little Ponies of the Apocalypse. Awesome.
Classic.
I'm down.
Great job, Grandma.
Yeah.
Hello Kitty is still traversing Dark Sun with a band of water thieves.
Imagine that's your character.
You win the chat contest of the evening. Congratulations. You're no prize in being invited back next week.
No prize.
No prize. Your prize is being allowed back next week.
But you are officially the first winner of the no prize. So you've got that to tack on your resume as well. Is Doom Part 2 post-apocalyptic? The primitive lives really didn't change. I don't know.
No, because that's what that world always looked like.
In the later books, they actually terraformed it back to a verdant green world and killed off all of the sandworms except for one.
Yeah. Was it a verdant green world before the...
I imagine. I don't know all the details.
I don't think it ever was.
I like the first two books.
I know.
It's funny. I think I made it to like the second or third book, but I couldn't get past that. I appreciate a lot about it, but I really despise the bringing back of characters through the cloning or whatever. It was so confusing. I'm like, can you just give people different names and or give them a designation, a number, something, so I know that it's not the same character. And why do you bring back these characters, that you actually killed in like the first 100 pages, only to bring them back? It's like
I'm not a Dune fanatic. I couldn't tell you.
A lot of people in our community really are, and I think that's kind of a product of the time.
The best friend of the character from his childhood, Duncan Idaho. They keep bringing him back.
Yeah,
as clones.
Generational memories. We've talked about generational memories. Shadow, I know you have on. DNA memory, and I think it gets into that with Duncan Idaho as the Golan, and he has this trait where he wants to kill the God Emperor. It's like it's in his DNA to do the right thing. And the God Emperor keeps killing him every time he tries to kill the God Emperor, but he reclones him anyway. So it's a sort of Groundhog Day thing for a while. There's a whole lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. It was a side plot that was not needed and was generally considered annoying. I generally consider it annoying.
It just threw me, and I wanted a little bit more excitement. The first book, the original movie, etc., were like all I needed to make up my own headcanon. That was probably better for me. I'm not saying that it was better. Otherwise, I might as well get off my ass and actually write the great American novel.
No one wants anyone to do that. Okay, nobody wants anyone to do that. The great American novel has always been a freaking piece of trash.
Wow. Really?
Have you ever read any of the novels that are classified as great American novels?
Like Gone with the Wind?
I don't know. If I saw it, I can say whether or not. But I've never read something thinking that it was.
Now, there are many novels that are from America that are great. That doesn't make them great American novels because that's a classification of novels.
Right, and I think if you set out to do that, you automatically fail for just because that's what fate and karma do to people that try to do that. Jack London novels. Again, Grandma, I wouldn't know. Someone wants to send me a list of the great American novels to my Discord.
You've got Google.
Yeah.
And
well, do you think Shadwell knows how to work Google?
I'm not even willing to type in the great American novels list. I'm too lazy for that.
The only reason why he can run this live stream is because it's only one button to press. It took him like a week for him to figure out how to change his name back after we changed it.
He's not kidding. He's not kidding.
I'm actually being very kind in this description.
Nope, he's not lying, folks. Edison Conquers Mars. Never heard of any of these. No, I've heard of Call of the Wild.
Don't get me wrong. I'm pretty bad with the tech too, but
it wasn't my idea to make this channel. It was literally my 11-year-old child's idea, and look where we are.
Yeah, you don't want to read any Jack London books, man. The Sea Wolf, White Fang, to build a fire.
Read that one.
To build a fire.
Yeah, that's short story.
Yeah, I just Google them.
Yeah,
they seem like nightmare fuel.
I'm still trying to read all the classics. When it comes to sci-fi and fantasy, there's still a few books on the appendix. And is it that I'm trying to get?
He's not a fantasy writer. He's like
Print is dead.
Yeah.
If I'm reading books, I'm not writing my game. I'd rather write my game than read a book.
Al, actually, I'm so old. He knew me before I was born. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm old.
Jesus. Yeah.
Jesus
remembers.
I'm a big fan. Go figure. Apparently, he's a big fan of me because I have been incredibly blessed to get to hang out with you knuckleheads on a regular basis.
Chucklehead.
Hey, it's not chuckleheads for me. It's waste of space.
Oh, that's right. I'm only one of the generic chuckleheads.
Well, you guys are aces in my book. I really appreciate you guys coming in and helping me with this because I really think that the last few episodes, the dystopian and post-apocalyptic, could really, if someone were so inclined to run with it. I know Palladium actually did a pretty decent job for their universe of doing it, of showing they had such a long run with their Rift thing that they decided to go back and create some setting books to lead up to that. I was a big fan of the Horse Clan novels, Coming of the Horse Clans, and it reminded me of that, which was a great post-apocalyptic scenario, mostly just psionics and regular believable stuff, some mutations here and there. But it was a really Good one. Yeah, I'm trying to get as much pulp in my diet as I can, Grandma, because that's really where it's at. Especially if you're a fan of you know two-fisted action, that sort of thing. The Shadow, Doc Savage, Perry Rodan. All of the classics that just are going to be popular till the end of time, or they ban them. Yes, Grandma, Horse Clams was awesome. And Justin,
Now-
according to DD, I am a Ginny D bot. Beep, boop, beep. Or beep, bot.
Yeah. I think L was simping for Jenny D.
I,
On Dungeons and Diversity and Dragons stream or something.
I don't know much about her, but, I've been a huge proponent since day one of focusing on our similarities and our commonalities, the things we have in common.
Just
It's
don't
way
sleep
more
with that
important.
Huh?
So many people miss that.
Hey. Around here, we are Jenny D appreciators.
I can say I can honestly say without knowing much about her.
There's those videos about being a GM when she's like played for like 6 months.
Whatever, man. No,
Is that the right
You know
person?
what though? You know what drove that though was the general appreciation of the hobby. That's a great start.
yeah.
We should congratulate those people that come into this hobby with a passion and a desire. When it's clearly not obviously driven entirely by making a buck. I mean, because she could have done a lot of different things, I'm guessing, but she went
To
with
make a
this
buck.
as her her joy.
Yeah.
She found this hobby and decided to go. You know what? I'm gonna get into it and see where it
Yeah.
takes me. And she's
I
done well.
I think people that complain about how long she's been in the hobby are either following the herd or being unnecessarily elitist.
Or
Yeah,
you're peanut butter and jealous.
peanut. I have no problem with it being because you're peanut butter and jealous.
Because
You have every right to be peanut butter and jealous because she's got boobs and you don't. That's the reason. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. The reason why she's popular is because
testicles.
there are members of the Jenny D Appreciation Fan Club, and there aren't members of the Bo
Sorry, guys.
Paints Minis Appreciation Fan Club.
I just met DD Double D a while ago,
Yeah.
and the jury's still out.
He goes by that double D.
Double delicious.
You know what? Again, he loves the
Double
hobby,
deep cups.
and
Hey,
his
it's Holy Diver.
What about Holy Diver?
He's in chat.
he just popped in. I'm in the chat. I want to try saying what's up to figure the StreamYard thing. You know what? Holy
You hit a
D, one of
button,
these days we gotta
bro.
get you on the show, and bring you in because I absolutely love your channel. And as for DD, I just really haven't had the time to go check him out thoroughly to see.
I'm more
you know,
jealous
what
of
kind
him than Jenny D because he's got the stats and all that without the D's, the chesticles.
Fair. But like I said, he chose he and she they chose this hobby to be part of their life and be
Yeah.
because they absolutely love it. Cool. Let's focus on that.
Yeah.
I bet if we were all to be in the same
I
convention
don't know.
hall or
She's a
room,
Kool-Aid hair. You gotta be
I'm
careful.
thinking this is freaking
Yeah.
none other than the Holy D. What's happening, buddy?
Holy Diver.
Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you,
We
bro.
can all hear you loud and clear.
Nope.
You can't hear us.
Oh, I can't hear the stream. I don't know how that works. Crap. Hold on.
I see you got a Super Nintendo there.
Hold on.
Oh, the diver. If I down too long in the midnight sea.
I don't think I can be heard.
We can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear.
I don't think I can be heard. Can I be heard? Oh, okay. Cool. Sorry.
Welcome to the show, man. Welcome to the show.
All right, I'm in this
I'm gonna
weird
probably
space
have
where I
to
can't
send
hear you guys. I'm gonna have to leave the.
It's
I'm gonna have to
echoing.
leave the phone
Yeah.
running because I don't have audio on my computer in the description in the.
Yeah. I don't know. It's quiet in the background, so you got a delay on that though. There's a delay.
I don't have any audio. So go about yourself. I was just kind of just testing this, and I'm sorry to bring you out. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'm uploading the Holy Diver show, so that's kind of where I was at today.
You were just saying how much we all appreciate your show. It's kind of a breath of fresh air compared to some of the channels out there. Because we're all chock full of male toxicity and rugged individualism. And apparently that's a crime. And
I want to clarify this. I am not chock full of those things. I am chock full of pizza pockets.
Hey, little bro, how you doing, buddy? Sorry we're not doing a show tomorrow.
Pizza
but
pockets. That's the bane of
okay.
everybody's existence, isn't it?
Not mine.
Or the
I take
blessing,
two of them and put a
depending on
hamburger in
your-
between.
Well, I appreciate you guys. I was just
Yeah. The StreamYards is pretty easy to figure out once you get the audio fixed.
What's up, Brian?
I recommend you doing it. Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you having me on. I wanted to figure this out. I'm having this problem where I can't hear you guys on my speaker of the computer. Is that how this works? I got it.
No.
So let's see here. I gotta figure something out. Let me.
Let's get back to the topic while our good buddy is figuring that out.
Let me push a few buttons here.
When he can,
Okay, no problem.
when he does, you can jump in.
Dang, Al. Dang, Al.
What else say?
Al says, Cal, I expected him not to bore Helen Keller to death. Talking about Double D. I'm going to have to go check out Double D just to Tacos is closed this evening, folks. I am so sorry to hear that, James.
The unbearable
I don't know.
tyranny.
Tell your lady to get her ass in the kitchen and make you some tacos from scratch. I don't know.
Yeah. Just a Mexican sandwich.
I thought that was a torta, but whatever. I don't like.
I think it's
if I want a sandwich, I'm just going to make it myself because everybody, puts too much crap on it that I don't give a rat's ass about. If I want a salad,
You need
I'll put
mustard,
that on the side of the sandwich.
mustard, very little lettuce, meat, cheese, more mustard.
I will 100% agree with you, except that 5% of lettuce. Again, if I want lettuce, I
You
would
need
make
a little
salad.
crunch.
I'll make a nice salad with lettuce and tomato and onion, and I'll throw it in the trash where it belongs. And now Connell wants tacos too. Where's the link? Okay.
I had a massive burrito for dinner. It almost made me feel gay.
Wow. No,
It was cylindrical. It was cylindrical and long.
I'm not gonna lie. Del Taco make a massive 2-pound burrito that's literally got everything on it, and it's delicious.
We can't even hear you anymore, bro.
Who, me?
No.
Holy Diver.
Holy Diver, we can't even hear you now, bro.
I just put the link in there so Weird World War II can join us for a bit. I'm gonna let it run until the hour. The Holy Diver can hear that. We'll be on another 24 minutes or so. Just because I got the time. It's Saturday night, and this was actually a really fun stream. I don't know about you guys, but I had a week. It wasn't really bad, but it kind of actually went by quick. But I didn't get a bunch of things done that I wanted to do. But I managed to get a significant amount of things done.
All right, let me try that. Does that work any better?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Can you hear us?
All right.
What's up? We're World War II.
What's up, brothers?
Hey, real quick, I'm going to give you a chance to show your buddy's painting challenge. Since we got some
Yeah,
great
so
painters here.
yeah, Mini Warmut channel is having a painting challenge for September. So go swing over there and join up on it. He's a pretty cool guy. He's a painting freaking animal too. So check it out.
I was gonna say, Brian, I paint every day, but I never finish anything.
Shit, I hear that, dude.
I've got like dozens of minis that are all in various stages of completion. I'm like batch paint from hell.
Story of my life.
You need to focus in on something and finish it.
Because I'm painting all these minis with the same color scheme.
Yeah.
Like it's an army, you know?
Yeah. You need to it's called write down your recipe. That's what they call it when you establish the color scheme and you chart it out on a piece of paper so you can replicate it later without having to.
I pick it up what you're laying down.
What's up, Diver?
All right. We've kept Connell in timeout long enough. I'm going to also bring him on because I need to say this. No. Once again, late to the party as usual. My little brother, Connell, how the hell are you? And we can't hear a word you're saying, which is probably no. I'm kidding.
That's a good thing,
yeah. Connell, bro, I'm really psyched for the show we have planned coming up.
So am I. I'm actually.
Would you guys mind telling us a little bit about this show since we completely devolved from the topic?
It's going to be apocalyptic. It is going to be wasteland bullshit, clearing road type conversations. We're going to go out to the wide YouTube universe and gather bullshit. I mean, grade A bullshit. Bitchers and whiners and victimites. And we're going to stream them through a YouTube channel of possibilities. Where me and a select few, Bo being example, Justin might pop in.
I plan on mainlining this shit.
We're going to watch his videos and give our opinion on what the fuck is fucking wrong with these fuckers.
Man, I've been trying to figure out a way to do this for a long time. You know, I'm a big MST fan, right?
Right.
And I have Mystery Science Theater 2000.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I have been trying to figure out a way to do riffs on people's battle reports for fucking a year without just a total shit show.
All right, Shadow, I think I got all my technical difficulties sorted out here.
Okay.
We can hear you loud and clear, man.
All right, that's better. Because I
so-
couldn't hear you guys on the other mic and Array.
So my whole thing is like, you know, find a battle report.
Thank you.
Usually some of these bigger guys, right? You know, like wargaming, miniature wargaming or whatever, and just riff the fuck out of their battle reports. But I just can't figure out a good way to do it without it just turning into a shit show.
Yeah, like the stream I did with Hunter on my channel the other day.
Unfortunately, that's kind of what it's going to turn out to be. No matter what your good intentions might be, to find the valley of perfection, we have to thumb through the meadow of bullshit.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
We're not just attacking or making fun of one person. No, I don't want the rest of you two to feel left out. Don't worry.
No, but
all of us.
I am really hoping like 80 to 90% of the content will be on Shawner.
Oh, Shawner's on the list. A Clown Door drama master is on the list.
No. He's the one guy we should never do a video on because he's irrelevant.
No. I would take his.
Who is this clown person you speak of? I have literally no knowledge of him. He does remind me of a certain trash panda I bumped into once or twice, but
His head is
I do not
shaped.
know this clown person.
His head is shaped kind of like a corrugated trash bin with a lid jar.
In my head,
I
when I
think
think
like
of that person,
I don't make fun of the way people look. That's not right.
when I look at this person and think about this person, I
think it's engineered.
Two reactions. Once, I want to relieve what I just ate for dinner because my poor dinner. And second of all, who here remember watching Gumby as a kid?
I'm picking up what you're laying
I don't know. I'm not that old.
Gumby was great.
Gumby was on Nickelodeon once every so often, and that's all I can say about Gumby.
Saying that, or the Wish version.
Shadow probably saw it when it first came out. I mean, that's like what 60s, right, brother?
Yeah, that's when he was in his old age.
Okay, I saw the first run. I literally probably saw the first runs of Gumby. Gumby was a masterpiece of just weirdness.
No, the
hey,
weird
real
one
quick,
was.
hold on, guys. Holy D.
Yes, sir.
This kind of sounds like something that you and Weird World War II would be absolutely a match made in heaven, because I guarantee both of you guys have probably watched some battle reports that just pretty much sucked ass. Am I right?
Oh yeah, I've seen a few out there that were so bad that I just politely excused myself.
Well, I want to introduce you to Weird World War II.
up,
I think you guys
What's up? How are you?
have a lot in common. If you guys did exactly what Weird World War II is proposing, I would watch that religiously.
Oh, don't lie, Shadow. You're gonna watch what me and Justin and Bo and whoever's gonna produce. Oh, it's gonna be fan-fucking-tastic.
I mean,
What are you
it's
guys gonna do? What game is this? Are you gonna be playing?
We're looking more. We're looking more at ripping into role playing critiques.
Well,
we're taking a critique. We're doing.
Sean has this beautiful, wonderful fascination with Skyrim. I played Skyrim when I was, throughout the years. Skyrim's a great game. I might have a point of view that he's not seeing. And there will be no dice in hand, so I won't be a human dice roller, so I might as well be a prick with a mouth. So we're going to go.
Now that sounds like Justin's fucking.
Someone's trying to channel me. If he wants to, he wants to be my human puppet. Okay,
no! You don't understand. You've already been accused of being my little brother, but without the filter.
What? Who said that?
How many brothers do I have now? What the hell? My mom
It's like
must
an
have been a
orphanage.
freaking whore.
It's like an orphanage, Shadow. Every time a fuck up is born, you get a new brother.
But I'm not a fuck
Gotcha.
up.
So I'm
I'm
a
a waste of space.
like that,
I am a waste of space. Not a fuck up.
That's right.
There's a difference.
Well, as the resident control freak, I really want to see Brian and Holy Diver do a collaboration. The two of you guys, like I said, that would I can already picture it. The full Mystery Science Theater 3000 with the two of you on either side with the big screen in the middle of somebody's battle report that just.
So Diver, real quick, man. My girl, dude, she fucking hates you, bro.
Well, why? What did I do to her?
It's just your
pizza
opinions.
pockets.
It's so fucking funny, dude. She just loses her fucking mind. He's like, is that Holy Diver again? That fucking sexist fuck. I'm just like laughing my ass off.
I'll take it. I'll take that.
If you two do this, it's gotta be
funny,
it's
dude.
gotta be you two on either side, like Shadow said, but with a cardboard cutout of some sexy chick in the middle.
The whole reason
Instead of the
I put
robots.
the chicks up there on my stream when I'm not doing it is to give people something to look at in case I'm having a bad hair day. That's it.
So every day.
That's pretty much every day. Like I got off. I went over to my mom's this morning and I fixed a fence post that attaches to her wooden gate. So I set the post up. I dug everything out. I did not look good when I got home. So Then I got in the shower, tried to do my hair, and it went to hell on me.
You got to focus the camera onto the miniature.
I do have trouble doing that. I got this thing right here, and I have to experiment. I moved it over 2 inches, and I think I can actually get it onto the miniature in some other videos.
Take some painter's tape or whatever and put it on your desk. That way you know your hand's under where the camera goes.
This fucking guy, this coming from the guy that I've never ever seen touch a miniature ever.
Yeah.
You've seen my half painted
We've never seen you, Justin. What are you talking about?
That's a picture of me right there.
Justin's giving Diver painting tips, and the guy that's actually painting is on the
No,
screen.
He paints perfectly.
He's doing, so
He paints perfectly, but if he had like something on the desk that he knew the camera was pointed at, he wouldn't be putting the miniature like 3 feet away from the lens.
You know, I would be the best porn star out there in the world. There would be a woman won't be able to tell me no, as long as you don't turn on the camera.
Yeah.
Hey man, there's a fetish for everything, brother.
You turn on that camera and you have a little trouble with performance.
I just can't get it 2 inches over. That's the problem.
Wow.
That's because it's not 2 inches long.
I'm going to ask you a question. I'm a big fan, by the way.
They're 2 inches over?
No, of Bullet Divers videos.
Yeah, so am
I'm going to ask you a question, though.
Appreciate you.
On the QT. Do you actually have any evidence that the gal from Discourse Minis is a he/she? Or is that just something that you say for shits and giggles?
That's something that I say for shits and giggles. For all I know, that person could take off their shirt and look like Mia Khalifa without, and you're just like, well, I messed up. Shouldn't have been talking shit,
Well,
I've seen photos of her at cons and things, and there's a little feminine curve there. Not much, but a little.
Okay, because I know that Dana Howell
enough to suggest that it's not a dude.
Dana Howell, that could be a he/she. I mean, like I said,
it is.
I have no idea.
Like I said, the one reason I wouldn't go to the UK is because they don't have any cute women. That's why Japan's at the top of the list.
Dude,
I'm telling you, man, Diver, you need to go hang out with James over there.
Iceland. Dude,
JVC?
Oh yeah, man. Me and James are good pals, man.
Oh, dude, yeah. I wish I could meet that guy. He seems like a really good guy.
He's a cool motherfucker, dude.
Big supporter of the channel. I'm very appreciative of any of the fans that I have and everything, and I'm very honored that Shadow would have me on to test all this. I had feedback issues, and I'm just like, let me figure this out. The microphone wasn't working. And so I thank you for bearing with me on all my BS here. I feel sad that it's not DM James to get me first. I hope he doesn't see this.
Oh no, he won't mind one bit. He's probably snoozing already. He's an early to bed, early to rise kind of guy.
Yeah, I was on a stream earlier.
We're all friends here, man. We got to help each other out any way we can, because that's what it's all about, man. Playing some cool ass games with some cooler people, and laughing our asses off at whatever inane shit that comes out of our mouth. Just until we all lose our breathing permits.
Well,
yeah. Well, I'll never lose my breathing permit.
Clearly, you'll be buried, and 60 years later they'll still be hearing grumblings out of the earth, just spouting all kinds of crap. I would highly recommend getting one of those.
Canada.
You think Death wants to put up with me?
I know for a fact that it's like, nope, just gonna nope out on Justin. Nope. Be the last man on earth. It'll just be Justin and Death playing cards, or Conan Exile.
Conan Exiles. Clothing is not for women. Rule 1 of the game.
Wait, I didn't know you were a Ferengi.
Hey, when it comes to Conan Exiles, yes.
Man, Al, you really don't like Double D. I really have no opinion, but you make me want to go watch the show just to find out what's up with that.
Al's more of a curmudgeon than I am.
You know what? Like I'm not.
No, you're not. You're a control freak. There's a difference.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. How can I forget?
When you say Double D, you're talking about Divinity and Dragons, or what is
Diversity?
Yeah,
Diversity and Dragons.
Diversity and Dragons.
I have to admit one thing that HD. You mentioned one of the big character traits of our hobby is like a fucking woman can
and shuts a guy up just like that.
And she's got like 15 million fucking views and 87,000 members. And dude, I've been humping this for like ever. I got like 400 people, which are fucking great. I didn't even expect to get 20. Well,
that's the thing with Double D. He's got woman level growth.
So with women in the hobby and everything, and when they get behind the camera, all they literally have to do is not look like Discourse and put on a dress and say they like miniatures, and they'll get followers. That's how it always works. It's just it's like you just play the game on hard mode at that point if you're a dude, and if you actually know your stuff, and it doesn't matter how good you are or what you know or anything like that, that the YouTube algorithm being what it was, there's a huge difference between now and 2017, and then there's a huge difference between my first 6 months when I went from 0 to playing my first Kings of War game to getting 500, and it's just the algorithmic suppression on YouTube is ridiculous.
And they've just changed the algorithm again. I've noticed severe changes in the service I've been receiving.
Like recently, I got 10 subscribers, and they were kind enough to let me keep 3 of them. So I'm right back to where I was.
Right.
Yeah, it's like my videos. It's like, I have like shit on my table, and I got like, I use copyrighted fucking music and shit. I don't give I'm not doing this for any money.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, my algorithm, shit, dude. I'm talking about Nazis and fucking big tits, all sorts of shit. And no one sees my shit.
Well, everything has to be rated G for Google. That's one thing that I know. You'll never see like Discourse. They can swear. I noticed the more weird that you look, but warped by what. I don't know, UK magic or something like that. The more they let you get away with. As far as like, just like starting out, like if I could go back in time knowing what I know now, I would have gotten a chick to do everything, just to be Holy Diver. And then,
but you're on Rumble. Rumble's a good alternative, man.
I'm on Rumble as well.
BitChute is a good alternative, but you can't do long videos on BitChute.
I haven't tried BitChute. I went into Rumble simply because it just Styx Hexenhammer went over there. There's talk of James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd, going over there. Razor Fist went over there, and they're flourishing as compared to languishing on YouTube because YouTube doesn't like you. YouTube wants you to. They want you to do shorts. I don't do any shorts.
You just cut out segments from your videos and throw them up there.
No, it's got to be on
I
your
could
phone.
Do that, but that's extra time.
You don't have to film it on your phone.
I do not have the time to cut out segments of my shows. Every now, like I did cut up 3 segments of my show, and I did my World War I lecture, which is something I'd really like to do more of.
That's cool.
Is talk more World War I, because it's just it's something else to talk about that isn't World War II. We're not after the Nazis in this one. It just
it gets annoying.
I put that one out there, and it didn't get ratioed bad, but it also didn't get a lot of views. I think it has like 127 views and 12 likes. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take, and that's another thing, like why I put certain videos up on Patreon, not because I want the money or anything like that, but I am using the money to fund Gatekeeper Con. I can furnish 4 fantasy tables currently with some of the. So I've used some of the money to buy equipment, which is like this tripod you see here that I'm touching, the microphone above me, the light right here, this stuff. I've used it to buy equipment, and I've used it to buy terrain. And if
you're in Utah, right, bro?
Yeah, I am.
Shit, man. Yeah, fucking.
What's up, buddy?
Bo is in Utah too.
Oh, okay. So this gentleman up here just above my screen.
Yes.
Well, hi.
Wait. Hold on. I got a question. If all three of you are in Utah, how many Mormons am I talking to?
There's three. Only two in Utah.
Yeah. Right. You're so. I thought my mistake.
All right.
Brian's
so
in
I'm
Texas.
Brian's
Catholic.
in country.
Once every other month, I might go to mass with my mom, and that's a free dinner, so that's a win.
Wait, when you say mass, you mean Catholic?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I'm Catholic. I get that.
So like I don't go. My grandpa is Mormon, and he fought in World War II, and I just. When you're young, you want to kind of rebel against the system. Oh, that's stupid and everything and blah, blah, blah. And then you just kind of mellow out and it's good that people believe in God. It doesn't matter how they find it, even though it's that kind of thing isn't from being super religious isn't like my thing or anything like that. But, it could be somebody else's bag. And I don't want to knock anybody whose is, because then when you meet that one annoying atheist who's all talking his crap and everything. I'm like, well, let's go talk that crap at the mosque real fast and see what Ahmed and Ramud have to say about it real fast.
Or the temple.
Going back on the sub count, I don't expect to ever get enough people following me where I make money off of this I don't even want to call it a hobby, this thing that I'm doing. I'm on a couple of shows. I got my own show. I'm here to have fun. But I've noticed the moment I start being an ass, diving in, blasting people, my numbers go up.
Yes. Oh, okay. So you can be controversial. Your numbers will go up and everything, and then YouTube shuts it down.
That's fine.
They literally shut it. I've had videos where I've gotten like 500 views, and then the views were taken off of them. The likes have been taken off of them. Like, what do they have to gain by babysitting absolutely everything on YouTube the way that they do?
Right.
I agree with you, but it also depends on the type of controversy. Like, if you were only going after the corporation the same way Discourse does, they wouldn't be taking the numbers away. If you didn't have the hot Asian chick or whatever up there,
they wouldn't take my numbers away. You're not in YouTube land. That's another thing. In YouTube land, hot chicks don't exist.
Yeah,
unless they're doing makeup videos,
and then they still have to be dudes.
I don't know.
I've already got a fucking community strike because I like the badass motherfucker I am. I did a preview or a showcase for a comic book called Vampire Vixens of the Third Reich, and I showed some image of that comic in there, and it was weird because I made the video private only to people on my fucking channel.
It doesn't matter. It's
adult oriented and all that shit. So
usually they don't strike unlisted videos. I've never heard of that happening. I can tell you that the last Holy Diver show that I talked about the female influencers on, they struck me for nudity.
There was nudity there?
There was no nudity. There was Wendy Whoppers and Akatsuka, but there was no nudity.
Yeah.
They struck me for nudity, and that's the one that struck just because they had to strike me with something.
Oh, come on, Al. Don't be mean.
Which both of those wonderful ladies have a great filmography.
Bow, chicka bow bow.
You had me sticking up for you.
But a lot of times when I do shows like that, I'm just trolling the other person or something like that, and it's amazing how many people are out there that will put the thumbs up on that. That like the first initial like women suck at wargaming video that I did, just that got a really good response. The second one is a slow burn, but it did, and. Another thing about like why putting.
I'll be honest with you. I this is gonna be a dick thing to say, but that second one that I watched, you came off really butthurt. Like it did not come off funny or analytical. It came off really butthurt.
Yeah,
I am butthurt.
Diver, temper his attitude with he's from Canada.
Well, it's just he just needs to move to Japan with James. He'll be a better person for it.
I'm
Everything
moving to Iceland.
will work.
Iceland's where it's at.
Iceland.
No. You're looking at it from all the wrong angles.
But over the years, buddy, I am butthurt.
I understand it. It's just, there's a difference between being and coming off.
Yeah.
It distracted from the material more than it needed to, in my opinion.
Bo, we're gonna try to get your basement painted and put some posters up there.
When my buddy Kevin finally gets out of all of his chemo and all of his cancer recovery, God love you, Kevin. We're gonna come up here. We're gonna finish this part of the basement.
Yeah, and poster all the things that will get you banned off of YouTube.
This is where I get banished so I can do my mini painting.
But the posters won't be of miniatures. They'll be of the things you'll enjoy, like Muscle Man and.
Yeah, that'll be.
He's got my mom paints in the basement.
Yeah.
No, don't.
He's got to keep it kind of, tasteful.
Let's be honest. If Bo had posters on a wall, it'd be muscle dogs, like great big pit bulls and chihuahuas.
Belly up and extended.
So, I should probably apologize before I got onto this. I am in a mood. I'm.
Stop apologizing, Connell.
So, Diver, I saw that you put some rock comics on your wall. Well done, brother.
Yeah, I actually like a lot of those. The old Sergeant Fury comics, the Sergeant Rock, the Soldier Tales. Sometimes you turn into you turn open one. They got a story about George Washington, and they got a lot of good stuff in those comics. That I buy them on eBay every time I see them because even though they're in haggard condition, they're all still pretty good reads. And Joe Kubert, he's one hell of an artist.
Fucking A, one of the best.
Yep.
If you get Kubert, Kanger, and Russ Heath in play in a book, holy shit, it's fucking like epic. Their rock stuff, Russ Heath's rock stuff is fantastic. I used to have every appearance of Sergeant Rock at one time when I had my collection.
And there's still some Sergeant Rock that I haven't seen. What do you call it? I haven't seen any of his. There are a few issues where he's in the Pacific.
Hey,
there's only like 3 or 4. Yeah,
I've never seen him.
Hey, Mini Warmutt, we just.
Look at there!
Whoa,
Mud himself.
We were talking about
shouting out your painting challenge. I hope it's open to all newcomers and piss poor painters alike.
You gotta watch my video, my intro video. Have you guys watched? You guys watched that, didn't you?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
Of course.
The time, should you be wrapping up or?
Yeah.
I'm waiting to hear back from the other show that I'm supposed to go on to. If it hasn't started yet, I'm going to hang out with you guys. And just for. Oh, it has? Okay, well, I'll probably hit the road after I say my piece here. Holy Diver, everybody here in the show, when I end the show, don't go anywhere because that's when the after party begins.
All right.
Because you guys can all stay here forever. No, after the show, and it won't go anywhere. And you guys can, shoot the breeze. But I do have another engagement, as Justin brought up. I'm on another show right after this.
Well, thank you for having me on. And Bo, maybe
you are welcome anytime.
Game of 40K sometime.
I don't play.
What are you painting then?
Real quick.
I'm painting Pieces of Battle.
But you don't play.
You can't throw together an army and learn the rules?
I don't have enough points to have an army.
He's working on it. Holy Diver, a real quick question before I go, man.
I'll ask you about that later.
What do you think of the new Legions, Imperialis, Epic, whatever you want to call it. What do you think?
Oh, the new Epic 40K.
Yeah.
I don't really have an opinion. It's just there's a lot of games out. Actually in the new I'm putting out it. I've been putting tags on my new show. So any minute I'm going to hit live on that, and it's going to be right there for everybody to watch. I actually talk about that a little bit about how there's a Games Workshop back catalog game for everybody out there. And it doesn't, and I state in the Holy Diver show that you don't have to play every single game necessarily. You just go for what you like. So there might be some guy whose jam is just Necromunda and 30K, and every now and then he plays a game of Warcry, and that's it.
Yeah.
I've got Rogue Trader and I got Tyrannid Attack. That's the only GW product I have.
The only thing
I don't even know what Tyrannid Attack is, and I also talk about some of the older guys in the hobby who, with the release of the old world, the people who were there at the beginning who remember versions 1 through 5, a lot of them might have aged out of the hobby and they're playing World War II games or they're doing other games. Because I mentioned in this Holy Diver show that that even 6th edition fantasy, the game I came up on, that's 20 years old. My book says copyright 2000 on it. So, I've gone from pimple faced kid to veteran gamer to a certain extent, and but as far as like Epic goes, I'm probably not going to play because I'm going to start some War Master instead, because one of the sponsors on the channel, AfterDarkPrince.net, he sent me a bunch of stuff and I still need to paint it.
Well, that's weird because I actually have a crap ton of still sealed, blistered War Master stuff. I couldn't get into it. The rules were not to my liking. But hit me up if there's anything you're looking for. I might have it, and
all right,
I'm sure we can work something out. Because as everybody knows, September I start my eBay business. I've had it for 20 years, but I only sell during the holidays.
That's a good time to sell. I've got to get some stuff up on eBay myself.
September 15 through February 15 is the time to sell. The other time is the time to buy. I've made a bunch of YouTube videos about eBay and what I've learned.
I followed a couple of those videos. Yeah, I feel guilty that I can't watch it as often as I should.
Don't sweat it, man. I try to put something out almost every day. Nobody can really keep up, even me. And I feel real bad when I can't do something. But, it was great having you on. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
We always, like I said earlier, we all have so much in common. Let's focus on that when we can.
That's very true.
Obviously, trounce on the douchebags when they deserve it. But
hey, what did I do?
Nothing, Justin. That's why you're here. I love all you guys. It's been one of the best nights I've had in a while. I want to thank you, but I really got to get going. Not only do I have to get to the other show, but at some point I got to pee because I've been drinking water like crazy all day.
No one needs to hear that.
Yeah, it's going to be like 45 minutes in the bathroom.
Well, you have a good one, Shadow. Thank you. I'll stay here for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely hang out with the guys.
Get to know some of these guys. World War
II and Holy Diver. I want to see a video with you two guys doing something. I'm serious. That's my superpower is bringing folks together. And
stop being so authoritarian, you pussy.
I'm trying to control these two. Get out of my fucking way, guys.
So you want us to watch a battle report and just take it apart?
Yeah.
Why not? Nobody's doing that. And you guys are funny as hell.
I mean, you could just do it like tactically, right? Because some of these.
Oh, I've done that before in the comment sections on videos, and I've had my comments deleted by the guy.
Yeah. Well, he can't delete your video, so.
I can make a video about that. That would be a good video. I mean, I should start leaving more comments in there. I just but I got I've done that before where I've left like 3 options that this guy could have taken, but no, I just left that one model there that could have done something for 4 turns for the entirety of the game, and it cost me the game because my giant only had 1 wound, but I never thought to charge with it, so I left it there.
Yeah. It's just
it's like
missed
I don't know
opportunities,
why
right?
my infantry squad got killed. Well, you're charging forward to a fucking fortified bunker, dude. You know, that might be a reason why they're all fucking dead.
All right, guys, you keep on keeping on. Enjoy the after party. I gotta go. The grapefruit sized prostate that is my own needs attendance. I will see you guys soon.
Getting old ain't for pussies, man.
I'll be
Happy
done,
trails, everybody.
tagging this video in a
man.
second here.
Oh yeah, Bo, I got that stuff coming out to you on Monday, dude.
Dude, take your time. You know, I didn't even worry about it.
Take care,
Party
guys.
on. Party on.
Listen, bud.
Take it easy, Shadow.